Hey everyone, it's Shuya and welcome to the video. First of all, I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching and just watching my whole admissions process and my reactions. I wasn't expecting to reach this many people, but I'm glad I did and I was able to share my entire journey. As many of you guys have asked, here are my stats, as well as some tips that I personally thought were pretty useful and I hope I can share with you too. Before we begin, I just wanted to share some general tips I thought were pretty useful when I was applying and definitely helped me kind of navigate the whole process. So number one is definitely plan ahead. I'm not saying you have to start your Common App in June, and I think it only actually opens in August, but I would definitely start brainstorming ideas for your personal statement and the general essays that you're writing, because I think it's really good if you have your ideas fleshed out so you have more time to think and kind of marinate on those ideas. And rather than just the essays itself, having a complete story earlier on can definitely help when you're framing your entire application. For me, sometimes, honestly, I would just wake up at night with a random idea and then I'd run to my computer and jot it down. I definitely don't recommend losing sleep, but if you just think of something random, if you're on the toilet or in the car, just write it down. You never know what would happen. And my idea for my personal statement actually came one night when I was about to fall asleep and I quickly wrote it down and here we are. And next, I definitely think a good tip would just be to stay organized. For me, I had a spreadsheet that I kept everything on, which colleges I was interested in, all my supplementals and scholarships and etc. And I think it helped a ton with just managing all of my applications and essays. So if you wanted to access one, I could just open the spreadsheet and quickly look through it. And then it was also really satisfying being able to check off the boxes of supplemental done, interview done, etc. And on that note, definitely keep track of dates, because I saved a lot of applications to the end. And also with submitting scores, I actually didn't look that closely and I had to pay the extra fee to get my SAT score sent quickly. Although now I think a lot of colleges you don't need your official, so that's different. But still, for essays, I would definitely keep track of when your colleges are due, because when I was applying for regular decision, I applied to a lot of colleges and I was so stressed, and I definitely do not recommend that. If you do find yourself in that situation though, where you have to write a lot of essays, I would definitely group them kind of by category. So I put all my essays in one document and then I color coded based on category to kind of see where the prompts overlap, so I could use similar ideas for similar prompts. Although I would try and vary each essay, because you want to show how you fit into the school rather than why the school is good itself. And I think having a different essay or personalized and unique components will strengthen your application overall. My final general tip is to don't confine yourself. It's great if you're sure what you want to do at college and exactly what major, what activities, but also just be open to exploring. This includes random clubs and programs available on campus. For me, when I was researching, I honestly would just look at the Google Maps of the colleges, and that's where I learned about a lot of the fun, interesting research programs and different institutes, as well as just fun food places nearby. And those are actually things I referenced in a lot of my essays, the why us, as well as just why I wanted to go to the school in general. So these were my general tips, and moving on to the application itself. So for my application itself, I come from a somewhat large public high school in Maryland, so our class size was around 420 students. We didn't have class rank or valedictorian or any of that, and I also took classes at our local community college. So for my major, for most of my schools, I applied as an electrical engineering major, and for some schools, if they offered it, I applied with engineering physics and physics for a few other schools, which I did do for Caltech and UC Berkeley. My GPA, I had a 4.0 unweighted and 4.89 weighted GPA out of 5. And for my SAT, I took the SAT twice, one before the summer of junior year and then the fall of junior year after. My overall scores, super score, was a 1550, so 760 reading and 790 math. So for AP tests, I took a total of 13 tests throughout high school. So my freshman year, I took AP Chinese. My sophomore year, I took Calculus AB, CSP, Gov, and Physics C Mechanics. And then junior year, I took AP Biology, Calc BC, CSA, English Lang, Physics C EMAG, and Spanish Language and Culture. And then this year, senior year, I took AP Environmental and Statistics. So for my test scores, I did get all 5s, although I'm not sure about this year, but we'll find out soon, like fingers crossed. Honestly, for APs, I think it's really good if your school offers APs to try and push yourself, but I think it should be more related to what you want to do, and rather than just taking the class for like the difficulty or course rigor, take it instead because you're genuinely interested. And especially for classes like physics, I think because they're so hard, if you don't have a passion for it, it's gonna be really hard for you to keep pushing yourself to do well. It's honestly not worth it just to spend all your time on APs, and rather you should look at it like as a whole. And just for classes in general, I would say that I did try and take more challenging classes. And I definitely recommend pushing yourself, but at the end of the day, it's more about what you accomplish and learn from it, rather than doing things just for the resume. Like if you were actually to write about it, it should be more about how you grew as a person rather than I took this just because it was hard. Because like, as I said earlier, I think it's much more valuable if you genuinely are interested in what you're doing, because you can learn so much more from it. And for me, there were times when I really struggled, especially studying for that many APs at once. But I think all these times helped me figure out who I am and what I want to do, which I guess just when you're choosing what classes to take or what to write about, just be considerate of like what you like and how well you think you'll be able to do, and just consider both what you're capable of, what you think you can do, and push yourself without going too far. Moving on to awards and honors. Actually, I don't think I had anything too crazy, I guess. Obviously, they were all very important to me, but I don't think it was like crazy like ISEF finalist or anything like that. My first award was SciLE States, so I put multiple of my Science Olympiad medals into here and like listed them together, and I definitely recommend like grouping them if you have multiple, because you can save space and you do only get to report 5 in the Common App. Although for UCs it was different, but kind of the same method, because especially for Science Olympiad, a lot of these are like similar. My second honors was first place in the Maryland ArcGIS Story Maps competition, which was kind of where you pick like a topic to research using GIS and make story maps on that. My third was the National Merit Scholarship Corporation semifinalist, so that was for like my PSAT, which I got a 1500 on. My fourth was the USA Taekwondo Academic Gold Team Award, and also the President's Volunteer Service Award Bronze. So those were both for Taekwondo, so I combined them into one again. And number 5 was the National Spanish Exam, so I got the Silver Award for that, so I listed that as well. So all in all, I think these awards definitely were very reflective of what I put my time into throughout high school, but they weren't anything like super standout. Like for me personally, I don't think I had any crazy like spikes or insane one things, but overall like these helped strengthen my application and kind of show like I put work into what I did. Okay, so on to extracurricular activities. So my first activity and what I thought was the strongest was the summer before my junior year, I started as an intern at the Applied Physics Laboratory. There I did research with a mentor, and a lot of my research was on agentic AI and its thinking capabilities. We had like end of the year presentations, and we made posters for that, so I submitted that as like a research portfolio or like an abstract. And while my research wasn't like completely groundbreaking, it reflected my interests and passions, and I think it was a really good way to show what I wanted to learn and what I could do in the future. Next, I was a captain of our school's Science Olympiad team. So for those of you who don't know, Science Olympiad, it's kind of like Math Olympiad. You have a team of 15 people and you compete in like partner events, like different tests, as well as build events. So I did that beginning actually in 6th grade all the way through high school. I led our team to 2nd and 4th place at regionals and states, planned a lot of invitationals and competitions, as well as summer study sessions. Science Olympiad was actually something I referenced a lot throughout my application because it was something really important to me. So I think this was a really strong part of my application, because I do think many people do Science Olympiad, but again, it's how you write about it. Like, we didn't ever go to nationals, but we did do well at states, and I also individually did well. And like as a team, I talked a lot about like my experiences there too. Along that line, I was also an assistant coach at our nearby middle school Science Olympiad, and there I helped organize meetings, competitions, and also tutor students. and they actually were able to go to nationals, and this was also kind of like a way for me to give back to like Science Olympiad because I was on that team as a competitor before, and then I came back as an assistant coach. So for my fourth activity, I was a intern at Securus, a sustainable IT auditing company where they focus a lot with like technology recycling and disposition services. There I worked a lot with like energy efficiency data, and we got to see the inside of facilities they use to actually like recycle and dispose of products, and that was a really cool experience. My next activity was Taekwondo. So I am a 4th degree black belt and the captain of our school's leadership team, and I have over 500 hours teaching forms, helping out during classes, and organizing like anniversary or big events. I've been doing Taekwondo ever since I was really young, so this was a pretty important activity for me as well. Like I didn't play any varsity sports or like do anything in school, but this is what I spent a lot of my time on outside of school and like my physical activity. So going along that line, I am a Taekwondo Pumse athlete, and I have competed at the national, international level, which I included in my additional info section because they weren't like academic honors. And I am also a certified USA Taekwondo referee. Next, I was a board member of our school's Spanish Honor Society, where we promoted culture and language, and we facilitated a lot of like cultural learning events, including like potlucks or like baking competitions, which I personally loved. And I helped a lot with like the digital social promotion for that. I was also a volunteer at Branch Out, which is a STEM tutoring community group. Over the summers, I would tutor 20 students at STEAM camp, where we would do like a lot of fun like engineering design activities, like launching catapults and doing egg drops. Next, I play the violin in my school's orchestra as well as the Baltimore Symphony Youth Orchestra, and I was the second violin section leader for 2 years. And then we also performed at the Midwest Convention in 2024, which was a pretty big deal, and I was really happy to be able to perform there. And we traveled to Chicago, and it was a really fun trip. I actually have a vlog of that on my channel as well. I was also a Triumph Music Honor Society member, and I helped a lot with like setting up different events and raising money for our school's music foundation. Finally, I was a student leader at the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, where we worked a lot on different projects for the bay restoration, and I was able to present my own project on saltwater intrusion, and we helped with a lot of events such as cleaning trash around the bay and analyzing the different data to kind of assess this quality of the bay. So those were the 10 activities I listed on the Common App. And for the UCs, you do get more space, but again, I mostly wrote about the same things, although I did have more space to elaborate on that. One tip I would say, if you are considering applying to UCs, write your UC application first because you have more space, and it's much easier to cut down on what you write rather than like adding more later, because I wrote my Common App like descriptions first, and it was really hard to like add more characters to fit into the word count. So I definitely recommend like going the other way. On to my essay. So I'll be talking about like more of my personal statement for Common App, because UCs, you have much more essays to write, and like your other supplementals are across all colleges. So I mentioned this before, but I don't have any huge like spikes per se, but I turned that into a strength in my story, where I presented everything, all the different activities I did kind of under one umbrella. So for my essays, I focused a lot more on taking each part of my story and connecting it with my overarching, I guess, motto. And for me, this was taking my love of learning and sharing it with others to make my community a better place. So for like Science Olympiad, like giving back to my community as an assistant coach, and also pushing our own members to do better. For Spanish, like joining the Spanish Honor Society and sharing different cultures with others. And for Taekwondo, like sharing what I've learned with younger students through teaching. For violin too, like playing music and sharing different music with others, etc. I think rather than having perfect essays, you should focus more on how each one like shares a piece of you. Like for your personal statement, I'm not trying to tell you which topic to pick, but definitely consider how it fits with the rest of your application so that you can showcase a different side of you, but ultimately they all lead back to like who you are as a person. Like, so your essay should definitely reflect the same extracurriculars and passions, and then vice versa as well. So I won't be reading my personal statement, but I will share what I talked about. So what I wrote about was like my most important possession was a box of bagels, and each bagel kind of represents a different memory for me. And over time, as I added each bagel to my box, as I also learned how to share each bagel or each lesson with others. And I kind of showed my growth throughout all of my experiences, like Taekwondo, learning Spanish, and struggling through a lot of different things, as well as just like core parts of my personality, like being a foodie or loving sweets. Ultimately, at the end, my goal is to share these bagels or these parts of myself and the lessons I've learned with others. So again, this kind of frames my entire application. Like, I really wanted to be able to give back and also share with my community. And that's something I think was like at the very core and the strength of my application itself, because I didn't have these like huge specific like STEM areas. So I think being able to tie back everything to this core motto helped me a lot. Okay, so that was my common application and my overall activities, etc. And before I end, I have some final advice I guess I wanted to share. And for starters, I know this sounds cringy, but be yourself. I feel like colleges want to see who you are as a person, and you are the core of your entire application. Like, if you're outgoing and you love making jokes, showcase that like in your activities. Or if you have a random obsession, like bagels in my case, lean into it. It makes you much more interesting, and it allows you to show who you are to others. You can just really have fun too with your application, I guess. And also, just don't stress too much. I know me personally, I was really guilty of this, and college application season, definitely do not want to repeat that. But I think it's much more productive to focus on what you've done rather than what the AOs will think of you. Because ultimately, like, you don't know these people and they're reading your application. You can only do so much, and the rest is up to them on how they view you. You should focus more on like writing your best and presenting yourself rather than, oh, like, what will they think, kind of. Definitely consider it, but don't stress too much about it, and focus more on what you've done and what you can do for your application. Again, like, ultimately, you never know what could happen, and if you try your best, I honestly think that things will work out for you in one way or the other. With that being said, thank you for watching. Please stay tuned for more end of the year content, and I will be vlogging like graduation, etc. And I can't wait to show more of my life as things pick up. I hope I can share my experience at Caltech in this fall as well. And hopefully my videos and everything can help more people as well. Also, please let me know if you want any other advice, like helping like with your individual application or just with the Common App itself. Feel free to reach out if you have any other questions, and I can definitely try and answer them as best as I can. So thank you for watching, and see you next time.